Welcome to One-on-One, the Daily Items weekly digital program featuring Susquehanna Valley newsmakers interviewed by Daily Item reporters. Today's guest is Northumberland County President Judge Charles Saylor, interviewed by reporter Justin Strawser.
It's cloaked in stunning designer attire, a statement of fashion from every angle, unashamed of its opulence, but nothing you didn't already expect from Lincoln.
Right now, lease the 2018 Lincoln MKZ for $440 a month for 36 months, zero due at signing. Or lease the 2018 Lincoln MKX for just $480 a month for 36 months, zero due at signing.
Sunbury Motors Lincoln, run by the Mertz family since 1915.
Welcome to the Daily Items One-on-One. I'm Justin Strawser, and today our distinguished guest is Northumberland County President Judge Charles Saylor. Thanks for joining us today, Judge.
Good morning. Thank you.
Now, you have a long career in law, about 4 decades, if my memory serves correctly. Tell us about how you kind of got your start in law and where you started out.
Well, I actually was a political science major in college, and that naturally leads into thinking about law school.
Okay.
And I attended Dickinson Law School in Carlisle, graduated in 1974. And my first job out of law school was to be a law clerk to Northumberland County's 2 judges at that time, Michael Kifko and Frank. Oh boy, his name escapes me at the moment. But anyway, the 2 judges at the time in Northumberland County recruited me to come up and out of law school to be their law clerks, and I served 2 years there, and then I went into private practice with Roger Wiest here in Sunbury, and then and over the years the firm grew as we took in more partners, and of course he was in practice with his brother Bill also, who was a judge on the bench before I went on the bench, and then after, I don't know how many years, 25 years or so, I ran for judge. I was successful, and I've been on the bench now for 17 and a half years.
Yeah, so you were the first elected to county judge in 2001.
That's right.
And then you were reelected in 2021. No, I'm sorry, that's when your term ends. 2011 is when you were reelected.
10-year terms.
And so then you'll be done at the end of 2021. What made you run for judge in the first place 17 years ago?
When I reflect on it, I think it was my experience as a law clerk. As a law clerk, you're seeing the ins and outs of the judicial system, assisting the judges at that time. So I think it was always in the back of my mind after that experience that at some point I think I would like to be in that position.
And you obviously liked it. You stuck with it, right?
I did. Yes.
What was was there a bit of a learning curve when you first started out? What were some of the challenges?
It is. It's an adjustment from being in private practice. I was primarily handling a lot of civil law matters and municipal work. I liked the fact when I became a judge, I didn't have the evening meetings anymore.
Okay.
And of course, it's like anything else. It requires some experience, and the longer you're on the bench, the more comfortable with you are with the different issues that come before you.
So you wear many hats in the county right now. Your main one, though, for the last 2 years has been president judge. Describe how you kind of came into that position and what you consider kind of your biggest accomplishment in that role.
In our size county, the president judge is the judge who has the most seniority on the bench at a particular time. And when Judge Wiest left the bench to become a senior judge, then I was the next senior judge, and that's how I occupy that position. And when I came into that position, there were a number of things that I've had observed over the years that I thought could require some improvement, and I tried to institute those things when I became president judge, and I think I'm pleased with the way some of those changes have come about.
Where do you think? What do you hope to accomplish over your next couple years before you leave? Or it would have to be your last term, right?
Well, I don't have to leave.
Okay.
Okay. The voters approved the constitutional amendment that
That's right.
increased the age to 75, so that when I approach the end of my second term, I can conceivably run again and serve for some additional number of years. But I haven't made that decision yet. I'll make that decision when it gets closer. But I'm continually looking for programs that I think, excuse me, that I think will benefit the county, our judicial system, help it to operate at the highest possible level it can.
Okay. So what other hats do you wear in the county?
Well, I'm chair of the prison board.
Right.
And that has been very interesting in view of the fact that since I've been chair, we've been involved in the construction of the new prison, and it's really exciting that is now coming to the point where we're going to be opening the new prison very shortly, hopefully beginning of September of this year. So that was a hat. As president judge, I have my administrative role. There's, I think, about 70 employees total in the court system, when you include court administration, the adult and juvenile probation departments, and the domestic relations section. So there's those administrative responsibilities, setting policy, making local rules, scheduling assignments, those type of things.
And you're also in charge of some of the treatment courts, right?
I am. I've been involved with treatment courts before I became president judge, and now I am doing, and I had done drug court at one point, but I've assigned that to Judge Rosini, and currently I'm doing the DUI treatment court, the mental health treatment court, and the veterans court.
And maybe for some of our listeners who might not understand what treatment courts are, can you give a brief explanation of how those work?
It's a little different approach. Rather than incarcerating individuals who are really suffering from addiction problems, that treatment court is what the name implies, that we're trying to work with them, that they're getting the treatment they need to stay out of jail and stay clean and not reoffend. So we meet regularly with the individuals. It's pretty rigorous as far as all the AA meetings they may have to attend, group and individual therapy sessions. Sometimes they have to go to an inpatient facility, and they're meeting with the court either every 2 weeks or even more often to make sure that they're meeting all those goals.
And you brought the what is it called, the court-appointed special advocate program to the county?
Yes. When with regard to dependency cases, these are cases involving children in foster care. The court-appointed special advocate fills in the gaps. The caseworkers have larger caseloads than they probably should, and
they're worked.
It's the CASA is somebody who is trained as a volunteer to be the children's voice in court, and that helps the judge a lot in making the decisions in these tough cases involving foster care.
Now, one of your more recent hats that you put on is a statewide hat. You were recently appointed as the, I'm gonna read it because it's a long one, the president of the Pennsylvania Conference of State Trial Judges. Tell us how that came to be and what you hope to accomplish in that role as well.
Okay, well, that's our statewide organization of all the trial judges in the Commonwealth. There's about 470 of us. And I became an officer. I was elected by my peers. And that's quite an honor to receive that recognition. And I think it's also something that's it's an honor for the county and the county's judicial system as well. So it's a one-year term, and some of the things I'm trying to do is improve some of the educational opportunities that the judges have with regard to our conferences, and I want to work closely with the Pennsylvania Bar Association in a project. I haven't determined what that's going to be yet, or we'll be meeting in October with their officers, and so I'm looking for some good and exciting things to occur.
And you have a lot of fans. When I talked to your fellow judges, Judge Rosini and Judge Jones, about your appointment to the president, they were talking about how much they respected you and what a good name that you have in the community. So, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Honor. And right now we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Judge Saylor.
It's cloaked in stunning designer attire, a statement of fashion from every angle, unashamed of its opulence, but nothing you didn't already expect from Lincoln.
Right now, lease the 2018 Lincoln MKZ for $440 a month for 36 months, 0 due at signing. Or lease the 2018 Lincoln MKX for just $480 a month for 36 months, 0 due at signing.
Sunbury Motors Lincoln, run by the Mertz family since 1915.
We're back with One-on-One. We're here, obviously, with Judge Charles Saylor, the President Judge of Northumberland County. You mentioned something I kind of want to talk to you a little bit more about the Northumberland County Prison. You are the chairman of the prison board, so and that's set to open next month. Take me back, what is it now, 3 years ago. Where were you when the original place caught fire?
I was in my chambers.
Okay.
And actually, I didn't have the best view from the window in my chambers, and Judge Weiss had a really good view of it, and so they called me over, and it was quite astonishing seeing the flames shooting out of the top of that building. And then I ran down outside to the front of the courthouse and watched a little bit of it, and then obviously we had court and resumed court, but kept a close eye on what was happening.
Yeah, we in here, obviously the newsroom is like basically the prison is
right
like
there.
A walk away, maybe 2 seconds. So if you ever want to see news reporters jump as fast as possible to take a look out a window, that was the day to do it. And we were doing a lot of our reporting, from the top of our building, taking pictures.
Well, we were just across the street and watching it.
What was running through your mind at that time? You weren't the chairman of the prison
I
board at the
wasn't.
time, but
No.
I'm sure that
Eventually I knew it was going to be a real problem and
Yeah.
headache for everything involving. I mean, so much of what we do involved the prison operations and having this smooth cooperation as far as bringing them over to court and then having an appropriate place to place county level offenders. So I knew it was going to be a real challenge.
how has it's been headquartered out of SCI Cole Township.
Yeah.
How has that affected the court schedule over the last 3 years?
It's required a lot of juggling of times and transportation and a lot of coordination of things. So it hasn't been easy, but we've been able to do it. And we've been doing more video conferencing, which I think we're going to continue a lot, even with the new prison. It's where it's located. They're not just down the block anymore. So we're installing the state-of-the-art video conferencing equipment so that we can do more of that as opposed to transporting the prisoners back and forth.
And and it's not just that, the majority of prisoners are out there at SCI, but Cole Township.
Yeah.
But you've also got them positioned all across the state in different places. So it's probably going to be nice having at least everybody back, mostly everybody back in the county.
It's nice. We get calls after hours. Judge, we have no place to go, because the county prisons in other those local prisons in different counties that we rely upon sometimes for whatever reason they could be full themselves, and then it's a real scramble sometimes.
You described the prison project at a recent meeting as an enormous undertaking. Where do you hope the future of the correctional corrections in Northumberland County? Where do you hope that end goes?
Well, there's a big opportunity there. I guess that's the silver lining with regard to the fact that we lost our prison, and that is it's on a campus, and there's going to be the ability to transition the individuals out of the prison and there's going to be treatment services right there on the campus. And again, it's going to be it's new. It's going to be not extravagant, not a Taj Mahal in any way. It's basic, but the things that matter, we're going to have state of the art, such as the video conferencing and some offices and things like that and space that we never had before.
You've mentioned in the past about how you and other county leaders have mentioned in the past how that place is, the goal is trying to get it to be not only corrections but rehabilitation. Do you find that addiction and the opioid crisis as the number one issue that you're seeing as a problem in the court system today for people coming in?
No question, the opioid crisis has affected our county as well as every other county. It's been a real problem. It drives a lot of crime, and they end up in the criminal justice system. And unless you provide some sort of treatment to change the course of their addictions, it's just going to be back and forth.
And that's probably where the treatment courts come in too.
That's a big part of that.
You oversee a majority of the criminal cases as well, including homicide cases. So, I think that you have, the currently Jose Colon, Sabi Neversole. You'll probably have Brian Hefner. I'm assuming you're not going to want to comment on ongoing cases, right?
I can't, no.
Okay, but you were the judge that oversaw the infamous Craigslist killers,
Yes.
Miranda and Elliot Barber. What do you remember about that case and its challenges?
Again, I think you're aware, I think Miranda Barber has made a filing. She's filed a motion. So the case is maybe we'll see something from Elliot that it's not unusual. And so there's some things I maybe could share that I better not comment on because
that's fair.
There's a possibility that of some additional litigation.
Okay. Well, then, how about past cases? What do you consider your most memorable case outside of the ones that we just mentioned?
Well, I guess probably the case I got the most notoriety was the neutering of the dog case.
Oh, okay.
And maybe that was before you were here.
How long ago was that?
I think that was about a year or two after I took the bench.
Okay.
And
that would be before my
okay.
time as a journalist. What is that about? Can you explain a little bit about that?
So, President Judge at the time, Judge Sakavich, had set up a hearing. There was a dispute over a champion bulldog named Duffy.
Okay.
And Duffy was given to somebody to care for. And then there was a dispute as far as whether that was a temporary giving or whether there was a transfer of ownership. But the person who received the dog wanted the dog as a pet.
Okay.
The past owner wanted the dog to be a stud and get those fees. So there's a question about whether the dog had been neutered or not, and Judge Sakavich had ordered me to examine the dog in court. So
you had to bring the dog in.
So the dog was in court, and the dog was adorable.
Did you have to swear the dog in?
And your newspaper had a picture of the dog sleeping during the whole proceedings, and that went viral. That type of thing.
Oh, okay. That's a fun story.
So, and then I had another case that involved the baby that was left in the trash dumpster. Do you remember that one?
Oh, the name escapes me. Baby Mary?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
not Judge. Coroner Kelly is always a
right
advocate of that.
So I had those cases, and imposed a little bit unusual condition on the sentence, and that is that the dad had to visit the grave, and I just didn't feel he really had any remorse or appreciated the value of life, and I was trying to do something to maybe bring that point home.
Have you had any significant outbursts in the courtroom from defendants?
Not too often.
Okay.
I remember one time I was involved in a juvenile proceeding, and the juvenile got quite upset, and I think that was the one I remember the most, and had to be subdued. I think there have been a couple cases where the deputies have had to subdue some individuals.
Okay. Now, so I imagine your job is pretty stressful and thankless at times. So what do you remember about people coming in to the courtroom and telling you that you've made a difference in their life? Do you have any a story?
It's always nice when adoption day rolls around, and of course, one of the jobs that as a judge, it's very rewarding is when you preside over those family type cases where there's a good result, a happy result, and occasionally I'll get a note from somebody who has licked their addictions, and sometimes they'll say, well, the best thing that occurred to me was that I was arrested and then got into the system where I finally was able to get treatment and turn my life around.
Okay. Now, the last question I want to ask you is, you told me, I think a couple weeks ago, that you've never used your gavel.
No.
No?
No.
So tell me why you never use your gavel and what you use instead.
I just use hand motions or people know when I turn the light on my bench that's the start, and when I turn it off, we're done. So I guess that's a little bit of a substitute. But I have young boys or girls, when I finalize their adoption, that they finalize it, that they bang the gavel.
Oh, I've taken some pictures of that.
Yes.
That's always fun.
So that's how my gavel's been used. It's been broken once.
By a child?
Yes, okay. I'm on my second gavel. But even though I've never personally used it.
Okay. So in the spirit of that, I got a lamp with us today.
Oh, okay.
And I guess maybe I should have turned it on at first, but I wanted to kind of surprise you here.
Okay.
So, no, it's not going to work. Okay, there it goes. So that's all the time we have for today. Judge, thanks for joining us for today's edition of 101.
Thank you for watching 1-on-1. We hope you will join us this coming Thursday at noon for a new installment.